today we're going to look at the annual and financial reports. The nature of the training will be, we'll be able to cover each and every element, and this ideally looks at an effective report, an effective annual report, an effective financial report. What does it entail? What characteristics should it have? And that's what we'll be able to delve into. And so we're going to look at the benefits of an effective annual report. And one thing that will always come up is the aspect of alignment to the theory of change, because acknowledging the fact that when you have a solid theory of change, it really makes it easier for everything else. And in that presentation, I'll be able to show you why. And then we also look at the elements of an annual narrative report and the elements of an audited financial report. And so we get started just for reference purposes. An annual report, it's a document that summarizes the details of your organization in a given year. So to put this into context, one of the key things we always encourage is to have a strategic plan and a multi-annual plan. So that is the plan dependent on your organization that outlines your vision and your activities and your planning for either the next 3 years or the next 5 years. So in between that multi-annual plan, each and every year, as you get to monitor what you've been able to, number one, do as an organization, the activities you've been able to do, the achievements you've been able to have, and your performance, your financial performance every year. All that you're able to put into something called the annual plan. And it's very important because we realize you're able to prove your transparency and accountability to your partners. And so what we always say is your annual report needs to be aligned to your theory of change because one, it helps anyone who interacts with your organization to able to understand where are you, what's your progress. You know, later in this report, we'll be looking at how you can pose the challenges that you're facing and the lessons learned into your report. And you're also able to look at, you know, the finances, the money, the resources that have been given towards your organization. How is it you can truly account for each and every penny that has been given to you? And so for illustration purposes, I'll use illustration from the annual report 2022 of BOMA.NGO. That's the BOMA organization. And so just as a start, that's what their cover looks like. And so what we're saying is when you have an effective annual report that is aligned to your theory of change, there's very clear communication of impact. So, you know, when someone starts with your strategic plan, they come to your annual plan, they're able to see the goal and the flow of activities and how you're able to, how you intend to do the activities at your organization. The other thing that we cannot downplay at all is the aspect of transparency and accountability. When you have a well-aligned report, it really reinforces transparency because it creates a link between your activities, your outcome, and your impact. And that is very well and clearly documented for all your stakeholders to see. And, you know, speaking of stakeholders, because of the transparency and accountability, it also makes it very easy to be able to engage, you know, your donors, your partners. They're able to actively see, you know, we gave these resources, this is how they were used. We gave these resources, this is the impact they had. We supported last year but one. Why should we support you next year? It's very clear and you're able to engage your stakeholders when it comes to your organization. And then it provides a strong case for funding and grants. All, if not all, most donor organizations, you know, in the application process, they're always asking for your annual plan. They're always asking for your financial records. So when you have them in line early on and you learn as an organization to always have them in line earlier on, then it helps you as an organization in your application for funding and for grants. And even, you know how we sometimes when the year is hot in financial in writing proposals, it makes it very easy for you to be able to just extract this data and use it in your application, in your proposal writing and in your application. And then also sometimes donors and funders who are considering you as an organization, they tend to come back, you know, with questions. So when you've been doing your annual report, and your financial reports right, it becomes very easy to produce this data at the snap of a finger. And then the other thing is enhanced learning and capacity building. Again, when you have your alignment of your plans and your theory of change, it allows for learning, you learn, number one, what are your successes as an organization? In achieving these successes, sometimes challenges come up. So what are the challenges and how is it we can be able to improve as an organization? So that again gets articulated very clearly for you as an organization, as the staff of the organization, but also for your partners and stakeholders. And then finally, monitoring and evaluation. So when you do your monitoring and evaluation right, it becomes easy to be able to input that into your annual report, and it allows a structured way really to be able to monitor and evaluate your progress against the established benchmarks and impact goals, which are articulated in your strategic plan and your multi-annual plan. And so with that, we're going to look at the different elements of an effective annual narrative report. And please note, this, when you talk about the elements, it's really what must be there, when you're doing your annual narrative report. I mean, later you'll be able to see the different styles and different ways of representation, but this is the core information that should not miss in your annual narrative report. So I encourage you for the organizations that have started writing and developing your annual report for 2024, as we go through this training, feel free to benchmark and see, have we done this? Have we written it in the right way? Is it adequate information that we've been able to offer on the same? What are those key elements that you need to have in your annual narrative report for it to be considered effective and for it to really serve your needs as an organization? The first aspect of it is you always start with an executive summary. And this just gives an overview of the organization's mission, vision, and accomplishments. And so there are different aspects when it comes to the executive summary. Something we've seen that is so common is having a note from your founder or director. So it can be your founder, a director, or a senior representative in the organization, whereby they're just able to, in a narrative kind of way, talk about the organization, how the year has been, what stood out, what was the greatest impact, what was the greatest achievement. Yeah, so that's the note from the organizer and the founder or the director that is very keen in the section of your executive summary. The second thing you can be able to do, you can delve into your organizational details. So what do I mean? Why is the organization here? You're able to look at your mission. You're able to look at your vision. In a very scanty manner, just to be able to share what the organization is about and what you aim to achieve. In the executive summary, also, you can be able to give highlights. What are the key achievements that you're able to have as an organization? What are some of the notable projects that you had implemented in your organization? And, what is the impact? And I'd like to join the highlights with the key metrics. Again, I'm sure you've had this so many times by now. Numbers, numbers, numbers. If you can have the numbers, we will really appreciate that. And remember, we were able to cover how to get the numbers in our data analysis during the training on monitoring and evaluation. So if you're able to get the numbers, get the statistics, the number of people who are served. Again, in the monitoring and evaluation, we were able to look at, what are some of the ways that you can continuously be able to collect data. So it's at this juncture that all the data you've been collecting through the year comes into play. You're able to very efficiently, and you have real evidence that you can substantiate about, how many people are served, how much was raised, what impact was reached. So a very brief summary there. You can be able to see the BOMA report. Yeah, so you're able to see there's a word right there from the CEO And then, they've played around with the year's highlights and the key metrics, giving us the numbers. Again, the length of your executive summary, people don't have the time to go through very lengthy explanations, even though they might be good. So always find a way to keep it brief, straight to the point, and communicate what needs to be said. And so after, your executive summary, we're able to move next into understanding the program performances. So what are the different programs you have in your organization? So it can be your organizational objectives or it can be strategic goals. So I'll give you an example. At Impact Direct, our program performance is based on our strategic goals, whereby we look at how we are able to reach SDG 1, 2, and 4. But it could also be your organizational objectives. For example, we are looking at True Girls, which is very keen on being able to address period poverty, I should say, and sexual and reproductive health among girls. So that is also okay. And so in that aspect, you come down and you just, in the program performance, you break down the organization's activities and your results by the specific goals or focus areas. So number one, you were able to look at the overview. You're able to look at the overview of the different goals available. So, just a short explanation of the NGO's strategic objectives and what you aim to achieve. Number two, program description, looking at the individual programs, what's its objectives, what's its activities, what's the intended outcome. And again, we never leave the numbers behind. And so, just looking at the performance metrics, what do you aim to achieve? What's the results for each goal? You should be able to outline all the different programs that you have in your organization. So say, for example, you have a program in education, you have a program in healthcare, you have a program in economic development, all the different programs that you have in your organization, just be able to outline each and every one of them one by one and showcase that on your annual plan. Again, we always say it's good if you can be able to get the pictorials. Yeah, that's a win. That's always a win. After our program performance, the next step, which you should be able to have, is the impact highlights. And impact is really just about showing your success. This is where you're able to front yourself and you're able to share your success and what you've been able to do in that given year. So it demonstrates how the organization's work has directly improved the lives in the community and the impact that you've been able to have. Again, how do we express impact? I'll take us back to monitoring and evaluation and data collection. So this is where all the success stories you've been collecting, hopefully, since the beginning of the project. So, hopefully you're able to do a baseline survey. And now when you're doing your end term survey, you're able to clearly see the change that has been there and the impact that has been created by the activities in your organization. So you can be able to have success stories, Just to give you an example, you're able to go to a school and build a water tank. You're able to talk about the success in how students have been retained in school, because initially at lunchtime they go look for water and they will disappear, but now they're able to sit through the whole lessons for the whole day. This is where we are looking at beneficiaries' testimonies. So the different testimonials that you have in your organization, this is where they're able to come in. And you're able to share as diverse as possible, dependent on the different programs that you're covering. And then also this is where you're able to state your quantitative data. So all those bar charts, all those pie charts, all those graphs, this is where you're really able to use visualization to be able to show what is the impact that you've been able to have as an organization. As we continue to grow, let me talk about the different phases of growth that we are in. Definitely we have organizations, we have our impact, and we're like, yes, this has been good. Our funding came on time. We were able to start the project on time. You can be able to take videos actually. I've seen most of us have YouTube channels, but even on our social media, Show the world. Remember, we talked about our organization's visibility. So show the world what you're doing. So put those links out there so that someone can be able to clearly see the impact that you're having as an organization. Now, we're talking about impact, and I've talked about you have had a good year as an organization. But what happens, for example, when you've been on a go slow? Something arose, maybe when it comes to administration as an organization, something arose that was able to impact and influence the organization negatively. What we're saying is it's okay to also record that. And you can be able to have a section on challenges and lessons learned. And what this does is it just provides an insight into some of the obstacles that you were able to face in the organization during the year and how those insights have informed future strategies. So I'll give you different examples of challenges that can occur and how you can be able to report them. So, for example, a challenge can be related to safeguarding and the code of conduct. We can be able to have challenges arise. For example, policies. I'll give a good example of Uganda. Allow me to say Uganda banned different sexual orientations in their country. So you realize if you're an organization and your focus was on promoting different sexual orientations, then your activities simply just come to a stop because the policies in the country of operation do not allow for the same. So in such a case, you can be able to outline very clearly because it's part of your annual reports. So in the challenges and lessons learned, you can be able to outline some of the challenges that were faced. And then sometimes we have risks. Risks for those of us working in rural areas. Allow me to give an example of Nigeria, where women and girls in the north continue to be threatened. I believe we've all at one point or the other heard about Boko Haram and other illegal groups that are available. So in such a case where such an illegal group, happens or comes up in your area of operation, that really becomes a challenge and it limits the projects you can be able to do in that environment. And then sometimes we have natural calamities. I like it that when we started, all of us were very keen to see how climate change, we've talked about too hot or raining. Someone has shared, it's snowing where they are, yet it's so early. So natural calamities occur. So assuming you're an organization that is working in agriculture and in your planning, you had mentioned that you'll support farmers in this month, in your annual plan, in this month and this month to do farming. But then you realize, oh no, it won't rain, or there's an outbreak of a disease, hence you can't do that. And then the other is administrative barriers. Sometimes staff can just leave or anything can happen in the administration that makes it difficult to achieve your goals. And also sometimes it's just programmatic challenges. The program in itself develops challenges along the way. So it's in this section really that you can be able to outline what are some of the challenges that you've been able to face and what are the lessons learned as you move into the next year. What are some of those things that you'll do to be able to mitigate that? And so it outlines the corrective measures taken or planned to address the obstacles. And what this does is it shows how you as an organization are adaptable and how you're committed to continuous improvement. We've been able to, we are progressing on our annual report. So we've looked at our programs, we've looked at our impact, we've been able to just, allow me to say, blow our horns about what we've been able to achieve as an organization. We've been able to look at what are some of the issues that came up and how we are able to adapt very fast to be able to address them. And so next we come into the financial summary. Please note, it says financial summary. So in this report, we'll be able to cover a summary of your financial report. And what that does is it just offers transparency in the organization's financial health, showing number one, how did you get your money? What were the sources of the resources that you acquired? Number two, how did you allocate it? Remember this we've already done, ideally, in our plan. So where did you allocate? What needs to do what, when? And then the management. Now, did you run it effectively as you had said you would? And so the financial summary looks at, just like I've outlined, the funding sources. So whether it's grants, donations, or partnerships, it looks at a quick summary of your income and expenses breakdown. So all your income sources need to be outlined very clearly. And also all your expenditure needs to be outlined clearly. And then overall, the financial summary gives the financial health accountability of your organization. Next, our partnerships and supporters. But before I come to partnership and supporters, there's also a section, I'd say, which is important depending on where you are as an organization, whereby you're able to outline the organization team and staff. So for example, you had a change, the 3 years of your board are over. And so you'd want to let everyone know that there's a change of board and there's new members who've come on board. You can be able to just have a section to look at your program team, or you've expanded as an organization and you have new staff in, you can be able to have that. But if the staff is the same, no need to, it's more or less not necessary. But if there's a change, it's important you can be able to outline that. And so partnerships and supporters, it's simply that. So we are looking at number one, the major partners, the major donors, the major sponsors. So this is where you mention the organizations that have been able to support you are able to come in this section. And so, you've done a call, there are different groups of sponsorship. You might want to acknowledge probably those who've been able to support you this year and just give them a special reach. And show them that you appreciate them for their support. Or sometimes you just have a collaborative project with another organization, so you can be able to share that on here. And then as we come to the close of it, really, future plans. What do you intend to do in the coming year? So what we are saying is, as of where we are right now, we are really guided by our strategic plan and our multi-annual plan. And so in the future plans, you're really just extracting, I must say. So you're saying, number one, what are your upcoming goals? Strategic initiatives, maybe you have a new project coming up. You've received funding for something new. You want to include that as a future plan. Sometimes you're just scaling up, reaching more people, reaching more regions with a project. You can be able to just quickly share and outline that. Again, very in a short manner, just being able to talk about what are the future plans for the next year. Acknowledgement and conclusion. It's just the last page. So you can choose to finish with your partners, for example, with your future plans. But again, if you had a cover page, you want to have an end page, you can have a conclusion, just a short conclusion, talking about what just summarizing everything that you've done and talking about what you intend to do. Really just a small summary of the same, but also you can be able to finish off with your contact information.